Happy Monday, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
It's sermon break.
It's sermon break time, and the sun is shining where we are right now. It's been a rainy weekend.
Yes.
But we're back. Summer is here.
We are back. I feel like it was rainy literally everywhere this weekend.
I know. I don't know why.
Everywhere I saw it, even my friends that live in different provinces. I was watching a game last night. It was rainy there too. I was like, what's going on?
Must have been some storm system coming through. We've been talking about this. Do you think summer has officially... Are we in summer right now, or has summer not officially begun for you?
Yes.
Put it in the chat.
Let us know. I'm like, summer hasn't even started, but then I look at my calendar, I'm like, no, it really has. Like, July is next week.
But for me, summer never starts until like July 1st,
Right.
I feel like. I don't know why. I know we're kind of in it right now, but that's the official start of summer for me. Because I feel like you just are more guaranteed, I think, of good weather.
That is very true.
But June has been nice. We've been lucky. It was so hot last week.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe it's the teacher in me, or going back to being a student. It doesn't start until this like last week of June.
Yeah. And I think I'm so confused because there's so many schools or so many friends that I have who their kids are still in school, but then others who are out of school.
I
so
know.
I'm like, what's going on? Are kids in school? Are they out of school? I don't even know.
I don't know. Steven says the summer solstice. I kind of agree with you. That is really where it feels like it, because the nights, there's so much light going on.
Yep.
Charlotte, did you just say summer's almost over? No. I needed to stay a little bit longer.
I needed to stay a little bit longer. And Charlotte is right, though. We just had the longest day of the year.
The summer solstice, yeah.
And now it's all downhill from
here. It's all downhill from here. That was the peak. Was the peak. Well, I loved having Pastor Earl in the pulpit with us this week. He was great.
He was funny. So good. He was so funny. He's definitely preached at Elevation before.
Yes.
And just brought such a good word. And I loved, even when he was saying, if you didn't get a chance to watch the sermon, he was talking about how like he really wanted God to give me 3 practical steps that I can give these people. He was like, God didn't even say that. He was just like, no, this is the word that you're going to give them. So it was great. I loved the message. I can't stay here. Yes. And it was definitely a plot twist for me, because I thought he was going to give us all permission to just leave whatever it is that we can't stay in. And he was saying, no, you actually need to start praying and being really intentional about the places that you're at. But one thing that I loved was he was talking about this story in the Bible where these 4 lepers, these 4 men who had some sort of illness, they ended up going somewhere where they probably shouldn't have gone. They were probably too scared to go. And in that place, they found so much faithfulness. Like they found God just in abundance, whether it was silver or food or clothing or just even a place to sleep and eat. And so we wanted to know, put it in the chat, let us know. What is a place, or what is something that you've had a friend come alongside you to do that was just absolutely outrageous? Like something you were blown back by, you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that my friend came alongside me and did that with me.
There's been so many moments. I feel like, I don't know, it's so hard to think of one, but I know me and you have done some pretty crazy spontaneous things, I feel like.
Yes.
But the spontaneity of it is always what makes it really fun.
Yeah.
But I think one of my favorite things is we went to Blue Mountain, and there was this like kid obstacle course.
Yes.
And I said, we should just go on and try.
Yep.
And we're on these like little tight ropes laughing and then jumping on this. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't even like an official trampoline or inflatable.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was really high.
And we took
it was
pictures.
It was like treetop trekking, but treetop trekking extreme with no harnesses or anything.
No.
You're just like surrounded by net. I don't know. It was pretty crazy.
And we took funny pictures that I don't know what we were ever going to do with them, just for us.
Not
for us.
We should have had Brendan throw a photo of of that.
We should have.
Yes.
That would have been fun.
That would have been fun. Maybe next time we'll bring it back and show you guys a photo of what we did. I think for me, definitely Blue Mountain. Another one is we went to VU conference.
Yes, that's another great one.
A few years ago, and we did some like really crazy, spontaneous things that trip. But one of them that I will never forget is it was the last day of the conference, or the last day that we were going to be at the conference, and Elevation Rhythm was about to take the stage. And so me, you, and Steven were like, we have to be the front row. We'd been in the front row for most of the conference at that point, But to give you context, to get in the front row was like miraculous. Like it was really, really
there were
hard
so
to
many
do.
people there.
There's so many people there. And so we just kind of went in and we were like, we went in, I think they were still sound checking.
Right.
They weren't even ready for the conference to start back up. And Stephen was like, I'm the pastor at Elevation Church. And we went in and we got front row. And that was one of my like highlights, being able to worship even in that space and ending off the conference how we started it in the exact same place was so cool.
It was a bold move, but hey, it wasn't wrong. He is a campus pastor.
Exactly.
Elevation Toronto. Yes. And now you're great friends with Nate, and we love Nate, and we love everybody from Rhythm.
Yes.
So totally makes sense. But sometimes you just gotta be bold to step into what, I don't know, just step into the moment and to enjoy and to make that memory. And we have some great videos of that. Of that time too. So I love VooCon. That was such a fun memory.
It was so fun. There's so many of you joining us in the chat too, which is so exciting. Charlotte said the Tough Mudder.
Oh yeah.
Was that, I was watching the Tough Mudder even this weekend. People do it. I was like, I don't know how they do that. Flying to Vancouver for the weekend. Wonder said helped her move and took her grocery shopping. That's really kind, Charlotte. I love that. But like we were saying, the sermon was incredible, and we want to talk about it more, and we want to know what your top sermon takeaways were, so put it in the chat, something that stuck out to you. This clip that we're about to watch is kind of in the middle towards the end of the sermon, so we'll give you some more context afterwards, but definitely lean in, put it in the chat what your top sermon takeaway was, and we will talk about it when we get back.
I was wondering, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I wonder what the ripple effect of your step might be. I wonder, because we think it's not gonna matter. That's what they thought. It's not gonna matter. I'll probably die. It's probably gonna end in nothing. It's probably gonna fall flat on its face. Yes, it's a possibility that it could fail, but it's also a possibility that God could do something with your step that would absolutely change an entire generation. Dare I say, Elevation was a step that Pastor Stephen and Pastor Holly took, and you and I are on the other side of that. I am so thankful that there have been men and women of God years ago that said, I'm not going to stay comfortable. I'm so glad they continued to take a step, and then God took that step and he turned and he magnified that sound, and before they knew it, things were changing in a spot.
Such a great clip. I loved what Pastor Earl was saying, even just this idea. And this clip made me think about, what step is it that you're taking, or that you could take, or that someone has taken even before you that got you to the place that you're in now. And he was talking about how like the wrestling inside of you isn't even for you.
Yeah.
It's for the generations to come. He said there's a teenager on the other side of that wrestling. There's a family that could be saved on the other side of that wrestling. And so when I was watching that clip, I was thinking like, how many steps did my grandmother take? Did people that came before me took in faith, steps of faith that they took that landed me to where I'm at now?
I always think about too, and I don't know why, but it's something I go back to when Pastor and Holly were planting the church, and whenever they like throw young pictures of themselves, or when Holly was in the choir singing with Amy. I think about how I was a teenager at Teen Ranch about to give my life to Christ. And I'm like, their step of obedience, like they had no idea that one day I'd come alongside and help build this church while they're just doing these like little things. I'm like, that's so crazy just to think about that. And I think it's so true in so many of our lives. We don't know what other people are doing or preparing or planning so that you can step into something at your appointed time to do it. I don't know. It's just crazy.
That is, and I was just thinking like, okay, the example that we used about VOO conference, Stephen stepping up and being like, hey, I'm going to make that bold move for us to be there. I now have so many videos of someone who I consider one of my best friends, like leading worship in a moment that was so incredibly special, but I had no idea at the time that that step that Stephen took would lead to what it is now. So there's so many things, and Pastor Earl was even saying like so many times we tell ourselves like, oh, it doesn't matter. The clip was saying like, oh, we're not going to take that step because it doesn't matter. I'm not going to pray that prayer because it's not going to make a difference, but it does.
Right.
It really, really does.
Yeah. And you don't really know what's moving. I think my biggest takeaway really was when he says, when you pray about something, it moves things somewhere else. Like that was my biggest takeaway. That was so sticky for me. And I was thinking about the verse, it's Luke 17:6. And when he said that, I thought about that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it will obey you. And it's just crazy that we always talk about having faith, but really it is just a small step. And it's saying, okay, it's saying this mulberry tree be uprooted and planted in the sea. It's telling this mulberry tree to go and move. How much more can God do with our yes, with our willing to pray and, I don't know, just have this tiny bit of faith.
Right.
I think God really honors our obedience to, I don't know, to talk to him, to be in relationship with him, to really, I don't know, go to war in the spiritual world to make things happen.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like, man, I'm even looking at some of your comments right now. And Kelly, you said even a good place can become a grave if you don't keep growing. Don't get stuck there trying to preserve and protect it, because that's not how you got there anyways. God put you there. And we've been talking a lot about gardening, and even this scripture that you were sharing is like, you need to continue to grow, continue to take those faith steps, even reflect on, like, what was I doing before I got to where I'm at now? Like, what steps of faith, what prayers did I pray? What prayers were like those seeds that were planted? Something that I was reflecting on a lot was like, why don't I take those steps of faith?
Right.
Like, what is it in me that stops me from praying that bold prayer, or just reaching out to that person, or whatever the case may be? And I was thinking about in Psalms 37, it talks about how the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. But then later on, it goes on to say how, like, even when you fall, even when you take that step and you fall, the Lord's going to uphold you. He's going to hold your hand. He's going to carry you along the way. And my biggest fear, I think, is that I'm going to fail, or that it's not going to do anything, or I'm going to pray this big, audacious prayer. I'm going to invite people. I'm going to tell my e-group, hey, guys, I'm believing for this thing. But what happens when it doesn't come to pass?
Right.
And the Bible is saying it's a promise that, like, even if you pray that prayer, like, God's going to uphold you regardless.
Right.
If you do, if you don't, he's going to hold your hand as you take that step.
I think so many times we get distracted by different things in our life where we don't kind of put this first. Or we were here with Pastor LB, and he talked about sometimes our complaints can get louder than maybe like our hearts for other people, or different things that we want in our life. We can get so bogged down by it. But this was just such a good reminder of, no, I need to keep God first, and like make sure that I'm prioritizing praying.
Right.
Really.
So good.
So good.
I also love, Kim, you said, get out of your comfort zone, take a step. And Wonder, you said even a good place, like Kelly was saying, can become a grave.
Yes.
Marielle, I love how you were talking in the chat. You said the title itself is my biggest takeaway. I can't stay here.
There was actually somebody that came up to me after, and they said that message was just for them. They were debating moving, and now they're going to make the step because they heard it. But another thing that I loved was the bad things kept secret tend to grow, and good things when kept secret lose their power. And I think one of you said that as well. And I just feel like, I don't know, I've never thought about good things when kept secret lose their power. And I think there's so much value when you share your testimony with people, and when you can tell people, like, look at what God has done. Look at what God has done for me. And like, it's undeniable, his presence and his move in my life. I think about times where you've prayed for me and things have happened because of it. And I think it's so important when you have someone that you can partner with in prayer. We talk about all that time. But it's like, if I never then shared it with anyone and said to anyone, are you praying with another friend? Are you letting somebody in into something, so that they can see the evidence of it. It's not to
Yes.
brag and say, oh, look what God did for me. It should be encouragement. Like, if God did it for me,
Right.
he can do it for you too.
Yeah. And the Bible literally says, like, blessed are the feet that bring forth the good news. And that's talking about like the testimony of your life. Like
Right.
God will bless you when you are sharing those things. We were created. And the reason why we go through all these things is so that he can get the glory afterwards. And I feel like we've talked about that on here before, but like, don't keep it a secret. What you've walked through, the ways that God has brought you out, and the glory that he is going to get from your situation, like, share that with someone.
Right.
Let someone know you were created and designed to share your testimony.
Right. And keep a document of all these things that
Yes.
when God has come through for you.
Yeah.
Like, remember that. We were talking about sometimes you need something physical.
Yes.
You need something on your desk right in front of, okay, God did this for me. Like, look at how I prayed for this and he moved
Right.
in this way. Or else we're going to forget, because it's human nature to forget. Like I said, we can get distracted. Complaints can come in. You can get busy. Things aren't on the top of your mind anymore.
Right.
So having that physical prompt is so helpful.
Yes. And we have an action step for you. But before we show you what the action step is, we found the clip of us taking that bold, audacious, random, spontaneous step. And so we're going to show it to you guys right now. So I hope that would encourage you to maybe go to Blue Mountain, but more than that, to take a step. Like, even the joy, and as we were like listening to that clip, the joy that is in that step that comes from taking that step. Maybe there's something that God's like, hey, I have joy for you, but it's on the other side of that step.
Right.
You just need to take that step.
And sometimes doing something a little bit spontaneous or
Yeah.
a little bit out of your comfort zone. And this is like a funny example
Yes.
that we're using, but there was so much on the other side
Yeah.
of doing something small. So I don't know what it is for you today, but I think so much of our life we can just, miss these
Yeah.
little steps of either fun or joy, or just so much of life, because we
Yes.
are just can be so worried and so like tight-fisted about what we're going to look like, or
Yes.
what we're going to do. But sometimes letting loose and doing things that are a little bit unexpected is good.
Yes.
So take a step.
Take a step. And maybe that step for you is joining an e-group. We say that every week, but Pastor Earl brought it up. Pastor Chet the week before brought it up. It's not something that we want from you. It's something that we want for you. And the best way to do that and to get connected in a step that you can take is join an e-group. Just get in community.
Right.
We have so many incredible things coming up, so many opportunities for you to get connected, to be in community. Just this week on Thursday, we have our college and young adults night coming back.
Yes, going to be great.
It's going to be so fun. We're having a block party, which is going to be incredible. We're going to have a few exciting things in store that I'm super excited about. But if you're between the ages of 18 to 29, come get connected. Come be in
get
community.
connected.
We don't want anything from you. There's going to be free food, great music, lots of other people your age that just want to hang out and be in community with one another.
Right. Because it's so hard, like our city, right? We're so spread out.
Yeah.
And I love that the church really can be just a place where we all come together. You don't have to live near each other.
Yeah.
It's like a great middle point to come on out and just meet other people, because it's so hard to do
Yeah.
it in this city. And also another great opportunity is our worship night.
Yes.
July 12th, save the date. We're going to be here worshiping, and I just know it's going to be powerful. You're going to hear a lot of the new songs that we've been singing.
Yes.
We haven't had like a full night to dedicate to it, so I'm really excited about it. So July 12th, save the date. Can't wait to see you there.
And then this weekend, we are going to have Canada Day
Yes.
long weekend celebrations
That too.
at both of our campuses.
That too, yes.
Another easy, great opportunity for you to get connected and just be in community. Like, something that I used to be so guilty of is, as soon as church was done, I was out that door. And I know that there are so many of you who probably feel the same way, but just stay back, have an ice cream. If you have kids, we're going to have inflatables, which is going to be super fun. But just stick around and get connected to someone, talk to someone, meet someone new.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun weekend and kick off to summer, okay?
Yes,
Kick
yes,
off.
the official
Even
summer
if-
kickoff.
Even if we're already in summer,
Yes.
official kick off to summer.
Yeah.
But have a great week, everyone. We'll be praying
Yes.
that God just puts on your heart what step that you need to, what you need to take, what prayer you need to pray so that things can move for you, and
Yes.
God does the work.
Yes.
So have a great week.